Hello, my dear teacher. Hello, everyone. My name is Liu Shixuan. I'm very happy to present my presentation on Africa history in such a special way. I'm now in Africa, in Angola. I think it is a very interesting way to tell the history of Africa. Today, I will be discussing Frederick Cooper's insightful article, What is the Concept of Globalization Good For? And African historian perspectives. This work offers a critical examination of globalization, especially in the context of African history. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the author's background. He is a renowned historian at New York University. He specialized in Africa history. His academic journey has been marked by in a deep analysis of colonialism and the evolution of modern Africa. One of his notable works included Africa since 1914, The Past of a President, reflecting his keen interest in how historical narrative shapes our understanding of contemporary issues. The article we are discussing today was published in the Africa Affairs in the April 2001. It is a part of a large discourse that critically evaluated the concept of globalization from an African historical perspective. Okay, let's get back to the content of article. First of all, let's talk about the object and objective of a text. Cooper's article delves into the theme of globalization. He challenges the conventional wisdom that stressed globalization as a recent and ubiquitous phenomenon. His analysis is grounded in a broad temporal and spatial context with a specific on Africa. And the other things is about the theaters. Cooper argued against the oversimplification of history through the lens of globalization. He suggests that this perspective fails to recognize Africa's complex role in the global history. Okay, next we talk about the key idea and the strategy of the text. In the introduction, Cooper sets the strategy by questioning the prevailing narrative of globalizations. I divided the development of main points in 3 points: critical of globalization versus historic, and colonial and pre-colonial history. First is critical of globalizations. Cooper contrasts the popular narrative of globalization with historical events, especially in African context. He uses the example of Atlantic slave trade to illustrate how historical processes has been globally interconnected for centuries. And then is globalization versus history. Here, Cooper challenged the notion that globalization is a recent phenomenon. He points out that Africans' interaction with global system dates back to a period of colonization and the Atlantic slave trade. And the colonial and pre-colonial history, Cooper explored Africa's historical role in the global economies, from the pre-colonial trade networks to the colonial and post-colonial eras. And here is another important one: impact on Africa. Here are the key points regarding the impact on Africa. I think have 2 important things. The first one is the historical interconnectedness. Cooper emphasized that Africa's history has been shaped by a century of linkage within the continent and across the ocean and deserts. He mentioned the Atlantic slave trade, the movement of the pilgrim and religious idea associated with Islam and connected across the Indian Oceans. He arguing that those do not fit into the narrative of globalizations. And then the second one is colonial and post-colonial era. The article examines the interplay of difficult groups processed over time, such as colonization, decolonization, and the era of strategy adjustment in Africa. He highlights how those processes have had uneven and contingent effects at different points in the systems, challenging the applicability of the globalization paradigm to those complex historical patterns. Well, of course, there are two sides to everything. Let's do a critical thinking now and look at his strengths and the weaknesses. Firstly, the advantages are obvious. Cooper's work stands out for it is deep in historical analysis and critical of commonly held perceptions about globalization. He focuses on Africa provided a unique perspective, often missing in global discourses. Although Cooper excellently critiques the conception of the globalization, he offers limited alternative or solutions to the conceptual gaps he identifies. Okay, finally, is conclusions. We should make a sense of the thoughts in Cooper's work and final thoughts. In conclusion, Frederick Cooper's article, What is the Conception of Globalization Good For? An African historian's perspective provides a profound and critical analysis of the conception of globalizations, particularly in the context of African history. Cooper's work stands out for its historical depth, a critical approach to the conventional narrative of globalization, and the use of diverse historical exams to substantiate his argument. His interdisciplinary approach brings a unique perspective to the subject, enriching the discourse on globalization and its impact on Africa. However, the article focus on historical analysis may overshadow contemporary aspects of globalization, and its complexity could pose the challenges for readers less familiar with the subject matter. Despite those limitations, Cooper's article significantly contributes to a more nuanced and historically informed understanding of globalization. Okay, finally, we should think again about where I actually read. I think, in my opinion, have 3 points. Importance of historical context, critical of simplistic narrative, and implications for future readers. Cooper's work underscores the importance of considering the historical context when discussing concepts like globalization. His analysis reveals that Africa's history of global interactions is complex and does not conform to the modern narrative of globalizations. The article challenges the oversimplified views of globalizations, promoting readers to think critically about the concept and its implications. His work arguments suggest avenues for further research, particularly in exploring the interconnectedness of historical and contemporary aspects of globalization. Okay, in sense, his article encouraged a more discerning and critical approach to the study of globalizations, especially concerning Africa's place in global history. It highlights the need for a balanced perspective that considers both the historical depths and contemporary realities. Okay, this is all of my presentations. Thank you for your listening. Obrigado pela vossa atenção.